boy. We're pilgrims in an unholy land.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
Right, kids. It's episode 219 of TMG Cast.
Yeah, dog, get down. Get pumped.
What in the hell are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, you always complain. I thought I'd try a little more enthusiastic approach.
Nah, this is not pro wrestling cast.
Yeah! Step into a Slim Jim.
Hey, Savage, knock it off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, when the comics come. And they're coming soon, Hogan. You should know. I'm gonna read them. I'm gonna read them all real good. And then I'm gonna get real drunk. And I'm gonna talk about them. I'm gonna talk about them all day long, Hogan. I'm gonna talk about them to him. I'm gonna talk about them to her. And she won't care because she don't fucking read no comics anyway. But I'm gonna talk about them. I'm gonna talk about them all the way to Madison Square Garden. And that's when I'm going to take the belt off of you, Hogan. The podcast belt. I can't do it like...
That was actually really good, except you moved more into Jake the Snake after a while there.
Well, it's hard, man. Like, there's a reason those guys talk like that all the time. Now that shit fucks you up. My voice is my instrument, baby.
I was waiting for you to pull something out like, when a man reads comics.
Well, that would be like an Ultimate Warrior one.
No, I mean, he used to say, the Snake used to say that shit a lot.
Well, I was going
when a man
here,
does... I remember all that shit. I don't want to, but, I mean, it's just
shit
in there.
Don't die, man.
No, it don't.
All right, what do you got for comic news?
Well, Emerald City Comic Con sold out their 4-day tickets in less than 4 hours.
And you did not buy one.
Holy fuckamole. No, I didn't buy one, because what am I going to do, scalp it?
No, I'm saying, which means that you're definitely locked into the table idea.
Oh, yes, we absolutely are. I mean, we always were. We were just trying to figure out how to pay for it.
When you first heard about it, you debated whether or not you were going to do that.
Yeah, it was tough, but I do want to do it at least one more time.
Make sure you get one really good time out of it. And then see if it's cost effective at this price.
Well, it's rough, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
I've certainly spent more on vacation than that, so whatever. But the new Black Panther book.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Had their writer announced. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'll just call him Mr. Coates, Ta-Nehisi or something like that.
There's no way to say that without sounding stupid.
I won't slaughter it any further. It's Mr. Coates.
Okay.
Had no fucking idea who he was. I'm like, why is everybody excited about this? Looked him up. He's apparently a big essayist for like the New Yorker and the Atlantic and shit like that.
Oh, interesting.
He's been apparently a monstrous Marvel fan since he was a kid. So, probably in good hands. But the name I did recognize and do appreciate that's going to be on that book is Brian Stelfreeze.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be good. He did all those... He did like 60% of the covers for Shadow of the Bat.
Yeah, he's a big Batman guy. I remember that.
Yeah.
If I had to have somebody draw Black Panther, and sadly being me, I've thought about this. JR.
Really?
I could totally see that. Like, imagine that, just leaping through windows, swinging around. Just a total action book with JR drawing the Black Panther.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, he can pull off damn near anything. So
true,
whatever.
but not everybody springs out for him. You need a dynamic guy for that.
Right. I think just Stelfreeze would be fine, though. I hate this movie with all my heart.
What are we watching today?
We're watching Sharknado 2.
It's twice as good as Sharknado. That's why they call it 2.
And twice as bad.
And who are we? Get the introductory type things out of the way?
Yeah, well, I'm Adrian Tech Jedi Hunter. You've heard of me before, unless you're new, in which case, here I am. You are Bill, Reverend Mad Duck, I guess. Because I don't care anymore. Bleh. Right,
Well,
so that's who we
starting
are.
off strong there. I can't even get through the introduction without being bored. Enjoy the fucking podcast. God damn, man.
What? Pfft. You're the one that doesn't feel like doing it tonight.
Ever. I'll bring tonight into
I
it.
force you into it, and it pleases me that you bend to my will.
You bring booze.
I do.
Yeah.
Have some more booze. It's
Double ums. Wow, good sign. For those of you who play the drinking game, and for those of you who don't know what that is, every time I or TJ says take a drink, and you'll never hear the end of the fucking podcast.
Nope.
And for you bitches who think that shit's funny and play that, fuck you.
Go ahead, try it. Tell us how it works. I want to make one more quick note about Emerald City.
Yeah?
We do have a GoFundMe. Go check out our page at tmgcast.com to find out details about how to give us dough so that we can go and have fun at the con.
It just sounds not in any way convincing.
Yeah.
What are the rewards like for that?
Well, there's shirts, there's bumper stickers, there's boxes of comics. You can get boxes of comics. Just give me some dough. I will give you comics.
There's a signed book option, too, in there somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in there you might get yourself a signed book if you give us enough money. Go check us out. We're at GoFundMe. But the link for that is at tmgcast.com. tmgcast.com. Go to tmgcast.com.
Wow.
Anyhow.
So, that was an not an for you drinkers, but there's another There's two, bitches. Deal with it. Fake all day long.
Oh, no! You were saying?
I was, DC is canceling more books,
Oh, God, yeah. No, we went through the Batgirling thing a couple episodes ago.
but it looks like Lobo, Omega Men,
Yeah.
one or two others. That we
Yeah, I
didn't
think
read.
there was a total of like 7. Doomed. I read that Doomed sold for shit.
Well, it's
I
a
re-
very hard thing to argue with, like books that aren't selling, whether or not they should be canceled. And we talked about this a lot back when She-Hulk went down.
Yeah.
At what point is enough monetarily to keep a book going? And at what point do you let smaller books build themselves up and be interesting?
Well, you have to see numbers go up consistently to make that decision.
Yeah, but not everything can sell out in issue 1. Like
Well,
some
no,
of the-
if I was running a company, I wouldn't see the need to have it sell out. I would have the need to see it grow. Of course, I'm no fucking MBA, which explains why I'm on a podcast talking about fucking comics. But if numbers go down, then diminishing returns, you're going to have to kill it. If it stays steady, and you have faith in the book at least, then yeah, you can probably build an audience and everything will be okay. But really, the idea is to grow.
No, it's very true. It's just a matter of at what point do you decide that a book needs to continue, and what point do you decide that like how do you make that decision? Like, do you have faith in teams? Do you change up teams? Do you just cancel? And then the books that they cancel, like I was reading somebody's like up in arms that Omega Men got canceled. I'm like, dude, like they're the Omega Men. And in full disclosure, I have not read this, but they're the Omega Men.
Yeah, but apparently the whole motif of this version of Omega Man is utterly different from the last one. So maybe it matters and maybe it don't. It's hard to say.
Well, you know what? They changed up Secret Six, and it was still god awful.
Yeah, I read a Twitter yesterday. Somebody says, I read 1 through 6 and another one, and I can't fucking deal with it. Which sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Except we didn't even get to 2 because it was just so bad.
That was just not okay.
Wait a minute. Why did you put this on? We saw this.
Nope, we didn't finish it. And
Well then you could... Oh.
For some reason, this is back when my internet was having difficulty.
Yeah.
So it skipped us back to this point. You'll notice it didn't start at the beginning, but it did start. So, yeah, we're finishing it off so I can get it the hell out of my queue, really. Because every day that I go through here, I look at Sharknado 2. I'm like, son of a bitch.
You could have let it out the queue. You could have.
We didn't finish it.
Yeah, you could have. No one would have missed it.
You know what? I feel like people might have.
No, I'm telling you right now, they wouldn't have. Yeah, whatever. Are you ready for books?
If I have to be.
You are.
Okay.
You are ready.
Okay.
You have to be.
Super ready.
We need to
Let's
do
go.
this.
Yeah. Let's go, Hogan.
Flipper green.
What the Sam fuck was that? You imitating Batmite?
No. Super green. Ruby Rod.
There it is.
This is what's left over of the July independent books. We're finally finishing up the stuff from July. We'll get to August's very, very soon.
Yep.
So, what we start with is the amazing book that is Descender 5.
Dude, is this book, like, rapidly, like, just jumping up steps to your favorites?
All the time. Every single issue, it gets higher and higher and higher. I adore this book. This time around, Tim and the others have been abducted by scrappers on the way to Ganesh. Ganesh. Is that like Guinea?
Well, I mean, sure.
Telsa and Quan are taken to the king, who intends to torture Quan for the secret of the connection with the harvesters. Boom, boom, boom. Back on Neriata, the debate rages about what to do with the Ganesh. Tesla's general father is told of the abduction but a spy overhears. There's torture, there's gladiator games, and we find out that Quan is in fact a fraud.
Mm-hmm. But he's a martial artist.
Holy crap, man.
Because they tie Quan down.
I was wondering how you were going to fill that one out, and you failed me.
Come on!
See, you're doing a little.
Come on!
You're doing a little happy dance, though.
Come on! You can't tell me that that's not a pun of the ages right there.
That's. You have been waiting days to use
Nope.
that, haven't you?
Nope.
Yeah, you developed that shit last week.
All
yo.
lies. Pure natural pun instinct.
Every single page.
Pun
of-
instinct.
You're gonna get slapped.
Patent pending.
Puntin' pending.
Yeah, see, there it is. No, this book is so good. First off, if you could name me any book that has a better character than Driller at this point, like, you just can't do it. Driller is so awesome.
Driller's a killer. Every page of this book oozes high quality character and visuals.
It's awesome because it's got a fully realized world,
Yep.
and every character has a personality.
Yep.
There are no stereotypes. It's confusing but easy to follow. Like, you're not sure what's really happening.
But you know what you're looking at when you do.
Even the king, they're able to very quickly establish, like, okay, I'm not much for ceremony, but I'm going to torture your ass. Quan, they're doing great things with the captain's father, the president or general or admiral or whoever he was.
General.
All just, it's just so damn good. And they stay true to the characters. Like, when the little boy robot looks at the captain like, are we in trouble? And she's like, yes. Yes, we really fucking are. You can worry about them if you want, but I'd be more worried about our asses if you have the opportunity.
If you have the opportunity.
And the fact that everyone hates Yappy Robot Dog.
Holy shit, they didn't drag... Shit, I totally forgot that guy's name.
Wow.
Oops. It's not Kumo D.
No, not even close.
Oh, who is that poor guy?
Not helping you.
And they say he's just a friend.
There it is.
And you say he's just a friend. Yeah, they dragged his poor ass into this.
Bismarcky.
Bismarcky. They dragged poor Bismarcky's ass into this movie. God damn.
They just...
Although that was funny. I did appreciate him smacking the shark into the pizza oven with the pizza paddle.
Hey, you know.
I did appreciate that. But we're not here to appreciate that fucking movie.
Or the taxidermied rat.
Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
And I don't even want to go into detail about the plot. I want people to go read this. This is
desperately want them to buy this and read it and enjoy it as much as we do.
This is the new saga. This is the new revival. This is the big indie book. But as far as I can tell, it's getting nowhere near the press that those two were.
In a few spots, people are
starting to
talking
ramp up
about
a
it
little bit.
enthusiastically, but people aren't losing their minds and making tattoos of it just yet.
Yeah, people blew up about Saga 8 seconds in.
Yeah. Well, justifiably so.
It's a great book, but so is
But this is at least equal to it. At least equal to it.
This is another book like that where every character has its own arc, and they're all conjoining perfectly. It's just so well done. And it's not stereotypical. Like,
yeah.
Who saw that Quan not being the genius? Who saw that coming?
I didn't. I appreciate the shit out of that.
You're expecting more of a Battlestar Galactica, what's his name?
Baltar?
Character arc with him, for obvious reasons. And they go a completely different way.
Right on. So how about, speaking of Saga 30?
Well, finally some shit happens.
Yeah.
Shit happens in every issue. That's really not fair. But they seem to be closing this arc down for the next one.
Yeah, and it's kind of about time, because we're 30 issues in, for God's sake. So, Marco's ship has crashed, injuring Prince Robot 4. Which it's just such a ludicrous thing to say. Prince Robot 4.
Hey, when you crack
and yet I love saying it.
When you crack the screen, you usually have to get a new TV. That's all I'm saying.
Alana escapes with a stolen grenade and meets Dengo, the janitor guy. Remember him?
Yep.
Intent on something in the engine room.
He steals the fuel.
They don't right off but they didn't make it clear right then in that panel. But it turns out it's the fuel. They leave the ship, but mistakenly, before Mom and Hazel leave.
No.
Yeah?
Nope, totally
It's
off.
the other way around?
Sort of. What happens is, basically 3 of the 5 terrorists are dead.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with names these days. It's so sad. But Dango and what's the girl's name?
Alana.
See, I'm awful.
You've had 30 issues of Alana. You can't remember Alana.
I get very vague and drunk. It happens. But they're wandering off. Meanwhile, Alana's mother has the baby,
right,
or a child at this point.
Toddler, yeah.
And Dango's like, oh, she'll be fine. Like, she's going to fuck everything up. And so he goes off on his own quest to cripple their ship. But the other terrorists somehow capture the super general awesome grandmother in about 8 seconds, which implies that she might not be the uber warrior we originally led to believe. Just calling a spade, if you will. And then they're like, all the rest of our terrorist buddies are dead. Let's get the fuck out of here. We've got the kid. So they take off, leaving Alana with a soon-to-be smacked-around janitor. Like, wait, you stole the fuel from the ship we're in? And they took off with my daughter and my mother?
We're screwed.
I'm going to take your mop and shove it directly up your...
Yeah, eventually 4 kills his ass and retrieves his son. Over in the hospital somewhere, the Will wakes, angry as fuck that the brand died for him. The Will, the brand, the ruby red cross. I don't know.
Meanwhile, they've been given. They are driving around in a ship, a part of a ship that belonged to his lover.
Yeah.
And now they have the brand's dog,
which is kind of weird. They just keep adding weird accoutrements.
every time. Like everywhere they go, they add somebody odd in all of these arcs. Goose over here, Ghost Girl.
I like Goose.
The Walrus. They're all weird.
Well, actually, Goose is good. Ghost Girl is good.
Milky the Walrus.
Oh no, not really a character.
You can't call him Milky.
Please don't. Milky. Ew. Don't do that.
Why?
I'm not going to be able to drink milk anymore.
Well, not from a walrus.
Well, never from a walrus. Jesus Christ.
It's expensive as shit.
It's a really good issue. There's lots of events. You can see, like you said, that they're ramping up to wrap it up.
And also, I have to give them credit because they do something that I didn't see coming.
Yeah?
Which is that they bring Marco and Alana back together without the child. Like when a few issues back, more like 6 or 7 issues at this point.
Yeah?
When the kid's telling a story, they're like, this, I never saw my father again for many years. You assume that Marco won't find Alana and the child for many years.
Yeah. You don't expect that the two
find a
parents are separate from the child, but together.
So a completely different way of resolving that point, and not even a difficult one to see, but didn't see it coming at all.
No.
Just prejudged, like, well, they're not going to have the kids separated from both. Well, they totally are.
Which makes it good.
And then in the last panel, we see the kid with several other children that seem to be between the two races as well. They all have small...
Yeah.
So
in a kindergarten-like effect.
it's a great book. Like, we've gotten to the point where we rave about way too much stuff. I don't like it. But you just need to go buy this stuff. You need to go buy the graphics. Like, read Saga. It is awesome. If you're not reading Saga, you're missing out.
Yep. So we're going to do a quick thing. I want to get it over with.
Oh, super.
Because I ended up not caring. The new Archie #1 is Archie wandering around in a strongly Saved by the Bell influenced routine. Just
I don't agree at all.
Introducing things in himself, and it did not hit me.
It did have that Disney, like, explaining oneself feel, like old school Disney sitcom.
Yeah.
I will acknowledge that.
I didn't need that.
But it also took the characters that we knew, portrayed them the same but different in a really good way. Like, if you couldn't get down with Archie, like, Archie was still a complete klutz, but they made a more realistic person. Everybody was made more realistic. Let's start with that.
Right.
Jughead was portrayed in a really intriguing way. Oh my god, he's running across sharks.
Jughead was?
No, he just pitfalled.
Jughead was portrayed in an interesting way?
Yes.
You can't make me care about jumping on sharks pitfall style.
Well, but Jughead was like this Machiavellian smarter than you Jughead. Like, what the hell?
I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, and they try to bribe him with food. Like, all the characters are the same. And the grouping of the two girls and Kevin Keller was so well done.
If you say so.
When they came up with Betchy and the two are like, how did you not think of that before? Betty Archie.
No, I get it.
But they're so caught up in other people's lives and so teenage in a way that Archie has never really been since the mid-70s.
How do you know that?
Well, bear with me. Archie, up until its revamp, with the exception of The Whole Life with Archie, and they're doing all sorts of cool things with Archie, which is still the most insanely dumb sentence ever. But if you go and look at most issues through those periods, the classic ones, they're still living in that 60s to 70s perfect world ideal.
All right.
And I have to assume that it gets harder and harder to relate to with kids.
Well,
Like,
sure.
When we were younger, Archie was not a comic that we looked at. We've talked about this.
Yeah,
But we
many
all
times.
looked at one. We've all owned a digest or picked something up. And we could relate. You know what I mean? You still had My Three Sons on television. It might have been a rerun, but it was still there.
Oh, no, it was totally a rerun. And it was on the edge of never coming yet.
Exact. But that's what the kids today aren't getting anything close to that. So Archie becomes less and less relevant. So here you have a chance for them to dive right in and make him more relevant. They open up, and you can't imagine that Wade and Staples are going to stay in this book for 70-odd issues.
Well, certainly not Staples. She wants to get back to fucking Saga.
But even without that, like, they hit it out of the park with key talent. They maintain the same ideals, but in a slightly more realistic way. Like, it's still soft. And I say that as a blessing. Like, there's no sex in the first day. Like, nobody's doing drugs. You know, Dilton is still Dilton, and Moose is still Moose. but they're portrayed in a way. It's not most revamps. If you go back to the '90s, like, do you remember when they tried to make Mickey current just by throwing skates on him?
Yeah.
Or Donald Duck with a Hawaiian shirt and backwards cap, or the kind of dumb shit.
Oh yeah.
Or when they did that with the Looney Tunes, I actually remember you almost murdered someone.
Yeah, I did not enjoy that.
Yeah, rapper Taz with the hoodie
Oh
and the
no,
sunglasses.
fuck it up. No, can't have that shit. There is no reason. You see, those characters weren't locked into a motif like that, so that did absolutely nothing to add to those.
No,
characters.
it just pointed out that it was anachronistic,
Yeah.
and it was poor.
Yep.
This is the exact opposite. This is subtly updated and well put together. I get that you don't care about it, but it's not really designed for us, is it?
No, I said, and I don't say it should be.
No, but that's not the point I'm making. Is that for the people this is designed for, this is a really good thing.
There's a little too much fourth wall breakage.
I
really.
acknowledge that was a little irritating, but of course,
If
you
you
made a really good point by accident, which makes sense. Which
oh.
is the Disneyification of it, because those are the shows they're watching, and Wizards of Waverly Place, and all those kind of things. My niece gets down with those kind of things, and so she would relate more to that fourth wall breaking. Hopefully, that stops at this issue.
Yeah.
If that were to continue forever, it would get horribly, horribly frustrating.
Yes. Holy shit, did her bag say YOLO be us? Jesus Christ. Do they stop at nothing with this insanity?
Hey, man, when a shark's got to eat people, a shark's got to eat people.
I don't know how that relates to YOLO be us, but
I
whatever.
don't know what that means.
What I think if you think about it, you'll understand. Now, what I'd rather understand...
Young ocelots love onions?
Ew. What? Onions? They don't like onions.
How do you know?
Have you ever seen an ocelot eat an onion?
I'm not entirely positive I've seen an ocelot.
Well, you must have at a zoo or some such, right? No, don't think so. So
If I have, I've seen very ocelittle.
Oh, that's terrible. I don't like you. Right, so
fun
that's Archie. Whatever. I don't. It's no.
So you didn't enjoy it at all, then? Nothing you'd revisit?
I was like, don't talk to me. Just have an adventure. You know, if they just had an adventure, even if it was on a level that was less relatable to me, I mean, the breaking of the fourth wall every fucking panel
Well, it wasn't even close to that, but
added to the
frustration.
unrelatability.
Now, do you think that's because it was Archie and you couldn't bring your mind into put the two of those together? Because God knows you love She-Hulk, who breaks the fourth wall all the time.
Yeah, but they do it tongue in cheek. This guy is literally talking to you.
Well, I'm not sure I make as big a distinction as you do, but we'll go ahead and say that that's the way that went down.
Whatever. Maybe I'm just burned out on Archie. I don't know.
We have seen a lot of Archie in the last year and a half that we had never seen.
Yeah, that's true enough. So let's shift gears about as far as we can get here.
From Archie to Big Man Plans?
All right, maybe not as far. Let's switch gears way up. Mercury Heat #1.
Ah.
Kieran Gillen back at it. Police action in the cybernetic motif of the mining of Mercury. Put your... There, that's better.
So, it's an interesting book. Why don't you go through your plot description?
So, Louisa Bora is an enhanced human, a freelance law enforcement agent. Okay, freelance, dubious, but okay. She goes to Mercury for work. Mercury, the planet, fucking not the company with the cars, the planet Mercury. So the heat actually takes two connotations to it, like the heat, oh, the cops.
Yeah, see?
And Mercury's hot and shit. So there's
Very
something...
mercurial.
There's something off-putting about her enhanced status, though, that people really don't like. When they hear what type of enhancel she is, they're like, I gotta go to the bathroom now, see ya. And it's like, really? What's going on? It's a bit of a mystery. On her first case, she and her forensic tech, Lucas, get trapped by someone who doesn't want her to finish the investigation, oddly enough.
Shocking.
And there's a huge explosion and craziness at the end, and it's entertaining and science-y and fiction-y and a lot less ludicrous than some of the science fiction I've read lately.
They're on Mercury, so it's pretty goddamn ludicrous. Let's just lay that out. Hi, kids. This is Dr. T.O. Morrow with today's comic science moment. The planet Mercury is hot. I don't mean like toaster strudel hot. I mean like hot. Like third-degree McDonald's coffee burns hot. Nobody, let me repeat this, nobody is moving to Mercury. This has been Dr. T.O. Morrow with today's comic science moment.
You know, we should have an episode that are nothing but T.O. Morrow science moments. We should totally do that. Anyhow.
It is well done. Here's my thing. Like, did you actually enjoy it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of off on it so far. There's better sci-fi books. There's a lot of better sci-fi books out there right now. It's another case of, like, too powerful and too good in the first issue. And her wacky, creepy sidekick tech there.
He is wacky, and he is, in fact, creepy.
It's a matter of taste, I suppose. But when she jumps up her enhancements and crushes a guy's head with her thighs...
That was a little off-putting. I mean, you've seen that in other movies. You've seen that in other comics. And it's always this bizarre thing. It's like, did you really need to do it that way? You couldn't just smack his head up against the wall and call it even. You know, there's something extra gross and creepy about doing it quite that way.
Yes, yeah.
That I would just as soon not have had. But Gillen has not been someone who's shied away from gross and creepy.
No, particularly with an Avatar book.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's the point, though. This, to me, felt like an image book. Like a 90s image book.
Oh, well, I don't know if I'd go that far.
But in theory, it doesn't read like one, but it felt like one. You've got a lone,
there are similar
super
motifs.
powerful,
yes,
technically advanced female character on her own. Not a lot of other characterization. Dove right into a big arc immediately. Like there's no subtlety like I would expect from Gillen. There's a lot of logic, I have to say. It's not completely out there. But if you were to go back and have Michael Turner draw this and put it next to Aphrodite 9 or Fathom,
it wouldn't miss much of a beat.
Exactly. So I trust that Gillen will make this better. But on first read, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is really good. I'm like, what? Which is not what I was hoping for.
Well, maybe the free comic book day 0 will make things a little better for you.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
The 0?
Yeah.
And they also did, that is very cool that they actually do a 0, like the first appearance of this character is in a free comic book day 0 issue.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It makes it a collectible, kind of a pain in the ass, but still kind of easy. It's not like trying to find the first Hellboy in NXT Men or the comic convention single story that he put in there that no one has.
Yeah.
Bastard.
I can see it. But I'm going to keep up with it for a while.
Well, you do love sci-fi, and like logically written, it was not bad at all. I just felt like it, compared to a lot of his other stuff, this didn't grab me the same way.
It's got a neat future world, though, and I think he can do a bunch with it. He's all about changing the format of humanity, so to speak. He does that with Uber. He does it here. Who is that guy?
Kurt Angle.
That's fucking Kurt Angle?
The Olympic hero.
Oh my God. He's kind of let himself go a little bit, huh?
He could still kick our ass.
That's beside the point. That's got nothing to do with nothing. He don't know me. I can say what I want about him.
That's true. That man crazy.
Boy,
he crazy.
That boy crazy. Speaking of crazy,
what do you got?
Got Revival 31.
Ooh.
Ouchie. This is a fucked up book, but I like it. Now, Dana and Dad are searching the forest for the Fundie army, which is what I call them in my head because they don't actually have a name.
Just a lot of shitty nicknames.
Yeah, it's stupid-ass nicknames. They're dumb nicknames.
Kill Pill.
I'm not even going to say the only one I remember.
Oh,
yeah, that
yeah.
one. But Martha, so you remember, finds them with Blaine Abel, the lunatic.
Their general.
And attacks. The morons shoot one of their own.
Kill Pill in the face.
Right. And M just fucks them up because she's gotten crazy ninja skills now.
And they're morons.
Somehow. And they're mortals, and she doesn't
No,
get
I said morons.
Oh, they're total morons, yeah. But the fact is she doesn't get to die, and they do, so that also fits.
She didn't kill them all, though. She just beats the piss out of most of them.
Yeah. Well, she scares most of them shitless, really, just mentioning the baby. That's got to creep them the fuck out, and they just leave. Stop making me look over at that show. Jesus Christ. Back at the holding facility, the general runs a nasty little experiment with the Shmoo and that thrill-seeker jackass Rhodey.
Yep.
That was pretty fucking creepy.
It was nasty, but finish what you're saying and I'll get to that, because that's really my biggest point of this issue.
It seems that it can transfer memories or feelings from person to person, and it lets the recipient of the first person's personality or emotions or whatever feel an incredible empathy with the donator, so to speak. Out in the woods, M catches up with Abel and Martha. Dana catches up with Abel and Martha and has to stop her from killing him because it's awful close. Now, you were saying about the experiment.
So, there's two real things that stuck out in this issue. There's a lot of development, but also a lot of plot. It's another strong issue in a really strong book. The book continues to get more and not less convoluted. But there are two things. First off, Abel, the general character, has become so confusing. Is he good or bad? Like, of all the characters, he is by far the least understandable in terms of his actions.
Yeah, because he's flip-flopped like 3 different ways.
Right. Like, is he a villain? Is he? They just keep pushing him down different roads, and none of it fully makes sense. Nope. Everybody else is pretty followable, despite the insanity, but his character is just so damn weird. So that's a very minor one.
Yeah.
The major one is that when they put Rhodey in the room with the Shmoo, the Shmoo, my understanding of the Shmoo, and it's very limited, is that it's the soul of a revivalist. And they're trying to get back to their own body. Okay. And when they do, that's when they die, like the old guy.
All right.
After he kills all those people.
All right.
So
I follow. Which
is why when this Shmoo enters Rhodey, he gets all the memories of the woman it was whose soul it was. That's why he suddenly relates to her. So it makes perfect sense, right?
Oh, yeah, it does. Okay.
Except here's my problem. Why would the Shmoo get into Rhodey? There's no logical reason for it to do that.
Yeah, why would he want it?
Exactly. Like, he didn't know what the hell is going on. He doesn't know it's a soul. He's just a dumbass kid who died and he gets trapped without one.
Right. Interesting.
But in the past, they've shown them not just jump into people randomly, but aim.
On the rare occasion it actually happens, yes.
Yeah, whenever they've shown up, they just don't do whatever. Like, they're looking to connect. And when they can't connect, they die, as in the case of that kid that time.
Yeah.
So why did this one get into Rhodey?
You got me.
Exactly. And it's a small point, but it's a huge logic point. Yeah, that was so bad I don't even have words for it.
This is the worst movie ever.
I can top it. It really does irk me, though, because I don't understand it at all. Like, maybe I'm wrong about the soul thing and whatnot, but then the bodies, they would have jumped into other revivals when they found them at different points.
Yeah, I would have thought so, sure.
Like, maybe I have to go back and reread. Like, this is a book that totally requires rereading.
Yep. So many. I bet if we went back and did a marathon read of the last 30 issues, a lot more things would make a lot more sense.
I suspect you're right, but I think I think I'm right, and this would still be a sticking point.
Probably.
And it's a small
It's
one
a
in
decent
terms
bet.
of it's a small one in terms of plot development, but it's a huge one in terms of the overall ideas behind the book. So I don't get it at all.
Yeah,
If it's just done for the drama,
that would be disappointing.
right? And
That would be really
the
disappointing.
quality of the book has been so high that it really throws me off.
Right. So, speaking of quality books,
Your segues are just appalling.
they don't need to be great. They just need to get us to another book.
My
Uber-
segue is making you annoyed, bitch. Deal with it.
You haven't figured out that that's the plot yet?
Yeah, I have, sadly, yes.
Aha. So, Uber 26.
And I'm always so polite to you.
You are a liar. This one has the HMH, His Majesty's Human.
That's just awesome when you think about it.
Isn't it? Dunkirk and Churchill are getting ready. They're deploying for battle. Churchill compares herself to a golem, which is accurate but unfair, because she does have a soul and a controlling conscience.
Dunkirk.
But she is there to serve. She was created to serve.
The thing about that is that Dunkirk makes the same argument, so I'm going to jump on this right now. I'm supposed to wait until the end. And she's not seeing it. The golem is heroic. Like, it's there to protect.
Yeah.
So she's not seeing it the same way you and I and Dunkirk are.
Uh-huh.
She's saying, like, I am a monster. I am made a monster to save lives. It's an act of heroism. It's not, oh my God, the Black Widow's, I'm a monster.
Very different. Very different. This is discuss. He's dead already. They're both dead already.
Hi, kids. This is Dr. T.O. Morrow with a rare second movie science moment. Sharknado 2 is fucking stupid. This has been Dr. T.O. Morrow with a rare movie science moment.
That was great.
All right, get back to your plot.
So the monstrous Battle of Calais ensues. Churchill makes very short work of the Blitzmensch. They're just like, arg. And initially, it looks like she can take on the two battleships as well. But out of nowhere, a fourth sends Halo artillery down on them. And Dunkirk has to disengage to deal with that, which is just nuts. He's like, oh, shit, they brought in another motherfucker? Eventually, the battleships wear her down, though, and she suffers a blown tendon, and they just go nuts. And Dunkirk has to rescue her and jump off with her. And I got to imagine that this immensely hurts and disappoints Churchill on a deep emotional level.
Yeah, I mean, she's made this sacrifice that... and the thing is, what I have to say is that Gillen has done something really awesome and really obvious at the same time. Because you really feel for Churchill. But what they basically do is they figure out that she's nigh unstoppable. So they just hammer her knee till it blows up.
Yeah.
It's the Achilles heel idea. And it works perfectly. Like, the fact of the matter is, why wouldn't you shoot for the only part that you can see? They take the time, figure it out, and then do it. Like, it's totally logical. By the way, kids, those of you who notice our odd pauses, we've gotten to the part in Sharknado 2 where the townsfolk of New York have picked up random weapons and just hit flying sharks out of the air because centrifugal mass and force have no meaning compared to fucking pitchforks in New York.
Where they make fucking flamethrowers out of super soldier.
Yeah, when Mark McGrath of Sugar Ray gets to stand up with, Matt Lauer just killed a shark with an umbrella.
When Kelly Ripa kills a fucking hammerhead with her high heel shoe, it's just, this is out of control bad.
Yes. Yeah.
This guy's been falling for 30 minutes off the Empire
and
State
Sharknado
Building.
3 is still coming.
and go fuck yourself. Keep going about Uber.
No, it's just he's able to make this huge emotional content, and the Churchill arc has been really captivating. But at the same time, like, they shoot her in her exposed knee. Like, it's the most obvious fucking thing ever. It's like, we're not taking her down. Like, everybody focus on a body part, and we'll see if we knock that down, and it works. Like, duh.
It's like a boss in a video game.
Exactly what it's
Get the
like.
part that glows, asshole. But that's okay. I like that Dunkirk is so concerned and ready to take care of her and ready to fight beside her and make sure...
No, Dunkirk was awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing character. And it appears, they don't show it for sure, but it appears like he's very dead.
It's a decent bet in that last panel.
When they're showing body parts blowing off him, and he's a lot smaller and a lot further away. But the part where he's like, you're lighter than a tank, and he just flings her...
Yeah, that was crazy pants. In a different manner of
Oh
war,
my God, he just pulled her arm out and started firing her handgun.
while it's still in her hand. That's just not proper.
If you say, oh, wow.
Don't you dare
Wow.
give that girl's wedding ring to Tara Reid. Don't you
No,
dare.
it's her own arm.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's the shark that hated them.
Oh, for God's sake. Are you serious? That's why I don't remember this, because that's just horrifying.
We didn't get this far.
So, in War Stories 10,
New arc.
it's back to the British infantry with a relatively inexperienced squad patrolling outside a small town. They're mostly composed of Irishmen.
Yep. Irish recruits at the end of World War II.
So they talk a shitload of Irish history. Do you recognize any of that?
Yes.
Do you?
But I would.
No, I'm not saying because you are the kind of guy who would study this era and that
Yes,
region.
I knew a lot of this.
You're the kind of guy. You're not like the... I'm not playing upon your genetics.
No, but it's an area that I've read about, I'm familiar with. It is. Here's the thing with this one: like, there's no real plot to speak of. They have their first action encounter, which is very minimal.
Yep.
They do not great.
No, they stumble upon a disabled German convoy and completely underestimate the size and capability thereof, and have to be rescued by a tank.
Which is fine. You know, it goes
Yeah,
well. None of
it
them
happens.
die.
That happens all the time.
Here's the thing with this one. I thought that it was well done. I'm intrigued to go a different area. Almost nothing happens in this issue, though.
Right.
Like, they're building like a group bonding thing. It's very light. It's like the start of the Dirty Dozen, and then everyone is going to get seriously fucked up later on. What I will say about this one, though, is artistically, they're drawn in a way. It's very hard to differentiate the characters.
It is.
So they have this, to put it in layman's terms, Alien 3 thing going on.
Generic enough character designs that you can't figure it out, like,
So,
as West Londoners might say.
yeah, you know, I like it, and I'm curious to see where it goes, but the artistic choice to make everyone look, not everyone, but enough of them look similar enough to be somewhat confusing, shall we say.
Yeah. I think you should put on Masters of the Universe.
Oh, I'm saving that till we can get through the whole thing, sir. Come on now.
Oh, of course you are. So, it's an enjoyable read, but it's the first issue of an arc, so it's got some room to grow. And it needs to improve its differentiation between characters.
Absolutely, and the fact of the matter is I feel like this is why, like, so far War Stories hasn't blown me away the way some of his other ones do, because perhaps of the 3-issue arcs. Like, because not all these stories require 3 issues.
Nah, he kind of draws some of them
And
out.
so the first issue of each one is usually kind of, nah.
But you know what I do like about these?
It's all real history?
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you like about these.
He's hitting lesser known everyone knows about fucking D-Day. Everyone knows about Stalingrad. Everyone knows about the Battle of Britain.
Well, these days, do they?
Well,
We do, but
Yeah.
that's not the same. But even without that, he's hitting areas that a guy, because he's equivalently our age or somewhat younger.
yeah.
So he's hitting areas that he's interested in, that we're interested in. And hopefully other people are too, and the books have always sold very well, so obviously they somewhat are.
Right.
It's a totally captivating thing that he does, and I love that he switches it up and jumps all over the place. And it plays to his, and for every reason, because he's writing it, it plays to his tastes. There's a lot of tanks. There's a lot of World War II. There's a lot of Europe. It would be kind of cool to see, I don't know, The 100 Days of Captain Macaulay, which was a novel about a guy trapped, not a novel, sorry, a World War II story that was about a guy who was trapped in Japan, in the Japanese theater on an island by himself for 100 days. Like those kind of things. He's not touching certain areas that I might get excited about as well. But we're all going to have our own interests in World War II. You might be like, I'm okay with that. But I'd love to see this story about, the Italian campaign, which he hasn't really touched upon at all.
No, nobody talks about that.
Exactly. He plays to the areas he's excited about, which he should because he's writing the fucking thing.
Right.
But no, I absolutely love the fact that he goes areas that most military writers do not. We're not constantly seeing the same thing. It's not Saving Private Ryan.
Right. So it's enjoyable.
Absolutely.
You know what's a weird war story, though? We Stand on Guard 1.
We Stand on Guard 1. All right, give me your general assessment on this one.
I found it unclear as to the whys and wherefores, but the U.S. actually ends up 100 some odd years from now, 200, something like that, the late 21-somethings, attacking Canada, possibly blaming them for some terrorist shit.
This didn't reach me I think they more annexed it.
Well, I mean, they've got military forces in it, so there's an invasion.
Yeah,
so.
but they're not attacking. Like, they own the fucker. These are freedom fighters. They're not fucking an army. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's very much a fait accompli.
Well,
You like that? I broke some French in there.
Some of it's in flashback and some of it's in currency. So, at any rate, Amber's parents are killed in an attack.
That is true.
So she takes to living in the woods. She's confronted eventually, as she's grown, by a drone guard type thing, but she is rescued by some partisans who can't really figure out what to do with her, though, because she's clearly not American, or is she? And she's definitely not part of them. And she's like, how come this girl is living by herself in the fucking woods? There's something not right about this. You're a plant, maybe you we don't know. So they sit there and yap for page after page about this, talking about fucking Siegel and Schuster, for crying out loud.
That was kind of nerdy,
Which
but cool.
was pretty neat, but totally, wholly unexpected. 200 years from now, in the middle of a military campaign, that's like, who won the World Series? Do you know Siegel and Schuster? They were Canadian. Well, what, really? Till they do that until a giant ass United States mech shows up. They eventually take it down with some interesting tactics, and then Amber kills the pilot to prove herself.
Okay, so before I get into my usual rants,
Yes?
what was your takeaway?
I enjoyed it, but he's got to give me a couple more reasons why shit is even happening.
But you're going to stick with it to find those reasons.
Sure.
Okay. So, a couple of key points. First off, they're Canadian, so I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Had to get that out of the way. Secondly, if you're going to open a book with the death of the parents and the father, who's a deformed fucking monkey freak after a bomb hits him, sits and looks at the brother and he's like, take care of your sister. Whatever you do, stay with her. And then you open and he's not fucking there.
That is curious, because you instantly have to say, all right, he's holding some story in reserve.
But also, not even that, it's like, why did I read that if the brother, like... to get to his
if there was
sister.
utterly no point to it.
Exactly. So, not agreeing with that choice. The partisans were kind of interesting in a G.I. Joe, we've all got our special powers kind of way. I'm totally right with that.
Right on.
I've got a dog and a beard and I'm grumpy. I'm into comic books and I'm a medic. I was an actor and only speak French. What the fuck? Where's Sideswipe?
It's the Fox.
I have no idea if there was a G.I. Joe named Sideswipe, but it seems
No, that
like
was Transformers.
Okay, good point.
It's the Fox Force 5 syndrome.
Yeah.
Which I have now coined the term of and will be using in the future unrelentingly.
So, secondly, if you are the lead, let's say America gets invaded by, fuck it, China. I mean, I saw Red Dawn. Why not?
That was North Korea and Cuba, but whatever.
Which time? There were two.
Oh, actually, it was Russia and Cuba the first time.
And China.
It was
the second.
North Korea.
Was it North Korea?
It was North Korea.
Okay, well,
the second time.
I hated it the second time. I haven't watched the first one in so long. I need to go back to the first one. The first one was good, and I got to wash the taste of the shitty one out of my mouth. Anyway, Red Dawn aside, over in 3, 2, 1. Anyway, if let's say America gets invaded by North Korea, you picky motherfucker, you. And we end up as partisans, which is the least likely scenario I can think of today.
Well, because you'd be killed the first day.
Dude, I lived through
Because you'd be
everything.
like loading your weapon. How does this thing work? Click, clang,
We
bang.
both know that I survive when I don't want to, so I'm going to be motherfucking fine, and you're going to be pissed. But if we got attacked by a giant mech,
Right?
and I get shot, first off, are you going to ask a complete stranger to shoot the person who shot me?
I ain't got time for that. I got to save your dumb ass.
No, if I'm dead,
Oh, if you're dead. Well, I mean,
aren't you going to shoot him yourself?
well, I'd be angry enough to.
There
sure.
you go. Secondly, and thank you for that. Secondly, and more importantly, are you going to immediately trust anybody planted in the woods who's willing to shoot one of their own?
Potentially owned, but not really.
No, it's not really a selling point unless you're a fucking moron. Like, it always brings me to the Captain America, and I don't remember, I think it was against Flag Smasher. I never remember. I have to find this issue. You own it. And it's one of the greatest Captain America quotes of all time. Oh, good, they're willing to shoot their own. That's never a good sign. Because it says everything you want about Captain America and about the bad guys at the same time. Mm-hmm. So, if I'm a spy planted to get in with the partisans, I don't think shooting an already fucked mech pilot is going to be that difficult in my overall wheelhouse.
Probably not.
So, I guess my problem with this issue is tactically, in all honesty. Because they're horrible. They take the mech down with goo and fucking Empire Strikes Back.
Essentially, sure. Yeah, that's right on. Although, yeah, you're right. I mean, this thing is... Why didn't he just stomp the fuckers
Yeah.
before they pull out the goo? And how do they have enough goo to...
Yeah, where are you carrying... how is this ever-expanding goo? And we need to stop talking about goo, immediately. And there's your title. But the fact of the matter is I also have an out for the writer.
Yeah?
They're Canadian. Of course their tactics are stupid.
Oh!
And there's your title!
That's so bad.
I like some character aspects.
But not surprising.
Yeah. I like some character aspects. But like I said, they're G.I. Joe character aspects. They're not real people.
Yet.
Right. It's only issue 1. That could
It's
very much
BKV.
change.
There's no chance that he's not going to flesh somebody out.
Oh, absolutely. Is it really? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I read it so quickly trying to revamp everything. Because you know how you get through a bunch and then it takes longer, so you got to reread the ones you already... Wow, okay.
BKV, baby.
I think that I'm glad you're continuing. There is potential to keep going. But I very much feel that this is not as well done as it could have been. And the points I'm making are small and glaring.
Right?
But they're glaring nonetheless. They stick out. And if you're going to write a military book, and I'm speaking as a guy whose understanding of, this is minimal, but it's better than this. Like, you were in the military.
Possibly. Yeah.
Am I wrong in any single thing, other than picking on Canada, am I wrong in any single thing I've said?
No.
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 Is it as bad as my favorite fucking bad military Twilight Zone episode movie where they're walking in the jungle with a boombox? No, it is not as bad as that. That actually made my dad laugh out loud and change the channel. Like, no.
That's fucking funny. No. Click. I can see him with the same kind of attitude as like, your mother gave me yogurt.
Dude, that is your favorite my dad story ever. Go ahead, you're gonna have to tell it now. We're
Your mother gave me fucking yogurt. Yeah, that's all I remember about it. He was disappointed at lunch.
Well, I asked him how his day was, and that was his response. And you looked at me like, I don't think I've ever heard your dad speak before. And like, he hates yogurt. I thought Dan was going to pass out from laughter. All right. Let's pause for some booze and we'll dive back in.
Fine, be right back. Right, so we're boozed up again.
Yay.
And we're going to go on to OUTCAST 10. We are rapidly closing in on no longer having any OUTCAST.
And it's bittersweet because it's not a terrible book. It's just not something I look forward to reading.
Yeah. It's just unrelentingly grim. Kyle, I just want to punch him out myself as well.
See, I'm actually more sympathetic to Kyle, the priest who's gone insane.
Well, he's just gone batshit. That's not the same. Kyle has got so much self-pity going on there that, he could use some heavy drugs and counseling.
Well, he put his mom in a coma. He's ruined every relationship he ever had. Like, if ever somebody warranted a little self-pity, like the whole discussion he has with his wife at the end of this issue, like that's some self-pitying shit right there.
Right. Well, the Kyle and the pastor have saved the girl from the last issue they found in the basement and exorcised. And a lot of this issue is Kyle's complete inability to deal with that.
Well, saved is like she's not possessed anymore, but now she's going to be in a coma till she dies.
Right, which is a toss-up. I mean, you can be terrorized for a demon and have no control over your own body and soul, or you can be a complete vegetable. I mean, which is preferable?
But I think you have to look from the pastor's standpoint. The vegetable is preferable because she's got her immortal soul.
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't believe in that. So at least before she was upright and walking and having a life.
Yeah.
And so both arguments are semi-valid depending... It's the chicken and the egg theory, except I know the answer to that. I never told you this?
No.
It's actually very easy to answer.
Right.
If you believe in evolution, then the egg came first. Because the lizard evolved, and so like each egg, you get a little less lizard and a little more chicken, right? And eventually, you hit egg and then chicken. On. Whereas if you believe in creationism, then a chicken just shows up out of magic and just walks around clucking for a while. So it's actually simplistic.
You've actually put effort into something pseudo-scientific.
I know. I was amazed.
Holy shit!
And now you're gonna own people on that.
Fuck yeah! I'm gonna. I'm not even gonna tell them. I'm going to walk up to Dalton next week and say, hey, man.
Which came first?
I figured this shit out.
Bill, AJ's so amazing.
And let me tell you how it works.
It's totally valid, though, right?
It is. That's right on. That's exactly how it worked. So anyway, Kyle eventually goes to see his ex, and they both recriminate a bit and have a very long, semi-touching conversation that, while I felt for both of them, I didn't want to deal with.
The problem is that I've never said this before. The book is too good at what it's doing. It's so grim and unpleasant that, like, Kirkman is nailing what he's trying to nail in the writing.
Right.
Like, it's amazingly well done. Like, a comic book shouldn't hit these points as well, theoretically. But at the same time, I just don't want to read it. I'm not having a good time.
No, you're right on. That's exactly it.
So this is not a book that we're dumping because we hate it.
No, not by a long shot.
It's a book that we are dumping because I simply don't want to read it, and you don't want to pay to read it.
I don't want to be depressed by my entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to be, sometimes I do want to be challenged. Sometimes I do want to be educated. I don't want to be depressed.
I feel like apparently this is going to be coming out on Cinemax.
Yes, which is why I've got 4 of these over at CGC right now.
But the other piece of that is I feel like a television show for this might be more effective.
Yeah, because they'd have to deal with shorter arcs. They'd have to deal with
one 13 episode arc and then done.
Yeah, but they'd have to get right to it.
Right. And the other piece of course, is that you've got to, 13 hours of unrelenting bleakness, probably not a good sell.
Yeah.
You got to have the Gabagoo Sopranos conversation in there somewhere.
Although it's safe to say that Walking Dead has been 70 some odd episodes.
There's a lot of light in Walking Dead, the TV show, though.
There's a few.
There's definitely humor and people teasing each other and, like, humanity.
Yeah. It does get its share of grimness going on, and it's hard to see some light sometimes.
It's unfortunate
but it does step back every once in a while, and this hasn't done that yet.
No. This is by far the best book that we've ever done. It's a weird feeling.
It is.
We have never quit a book this good before, but it's just I just don't want to read it. Like I'm not. Yeah. I don't look forward to it. I'm not.
It's such a bizarre thing to have to say, but that's the way.
Like if you kept buying it, would I keep? Yeah. Like at no point I'm not doing that one anymore. It's bad. It's so not. But I think it really comes down to like with the amount of things out there that I want to read and that you want to buy to read.
Right.
This is just not high on that list.
No, not really.
It's theoretically possible that we could regret this decision. In all honesty.
Oh, sure.
We've dumped a couple of things over time that we were like, crap, we probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
This could be one of those. But I'm not having a good time. I can't. If you like it, you will totally continue to like it because it's fucking well done. This is such a weird feeling.
It is. And I'm not certain I enjoy that kind of feeling.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, it's strange. But maybe we'll hit a graphic and see as an arc if it works better.
Yeah.
I would have no problem doing that, but
wait till it's on Amazon used, though.
Yeah, again, well, I mean, really, even if you want it, you wait till it's on Amazon used, let alone to experiment.
Well, let's move on to Archie versus Predator 4, which is just a fucking nut loaf of fucking weirdness.
It's stupid.
It jumps straight over from this was kind of weird and goofy and maybe a little fun to now it's just like, fellas, what the fuck?
Yeah, Archie is over-drugged in Lodge's super special, never go above 4, turn to 11 healing facility, at which point he becomes caveman, overdeveloped Archie, fights a predator, gets his head squished. Betty and Veronica run away after changing because they don't want to die except in good clothing. They stab the predator eventually with the special voodoo dagger, while at the same time hitting him with a mace, which Veronica has always liked, but wasn't ladylike enough to use in the past. Then they hang out, repair each other in the super special healing machine, presumably to 4 and not 11. And then they used it to revert the predator that already likes them into a brand new Archie.
What in the fuck?
This... Okay. I'm going to step outside. I was very disappointed. Like, it was never going to be great, but Punisher Archie nailed it a lot better than this did. Obviously, Afterlife with Archie and Sabrina is miles ahead of this.
All true.
This is the equivalent of... You made a purchase on eBay recently.
Did I?
Of a bunch of comic books.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got almost the entire run of What The.
This is a what the. It's a semi-amusing idea, not developed to the point where it really nails anything.
Right.
Am I
not
wrong?
particularly funny, and not particularly adventuresome.
It goes somewhere interesting everywhere, here and there. Sometimes there's a really good one. You also gave me a Mignola what the, which was awesome.
Yeah, I knew you'd dig that. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this has got to go to him.
I very much appreciate that. I did not own that one. But yeah, it's a totally mediocre. Is it terrible? Yes,
it
is.
really is.
But it's terrible in a likable way because it's designed to be terrible. Like,
well, yeah, the premise is so ludicrous that's really. You could have executed it differently, but that's really the only tack
it
you
was never
could
going to
have
be
gone
good.
from. Yeah.
You just had to embrace the dumb as fuck.
And they tried to do that, but they didn't also then make it entertaining.
I don't feel like they nailed the tone successfully.
Yeah. So anyway, fuck that book.
It's nowhere near as good as Archie versus Sharknado could have been if somebody would have actually ordered it like he was supposed to.
Nothing. There's a perfectly good shop in the next town over. There's nothing stopping your dumbass from taking a 3-minute drive. If you wanted that book, you'd have got it. Don't let me fucking stop you. You're an independent grown-ass man.
There's a lot of debate on that. But
yeah,
anyway.
well, you're 5'8" anyway, so.
Hey, bitch.
What?
5'9".
You liar.
What, how tall are you?
Huh?
How tall are you?
5'8".
Are we the same height?
Pretty much. Half inch or some shit, but I don't know.
Dude, we're white middle-aged guys. A half inch means everything.
Oh, we're white guys. A half inch means everything.
And there's racism.
So Frankenstein
Edit.
Underground. No, I'm not letting go of that one. Hello.
Oh my lord.
I'm not letting go of that half inch. So Frankenstein Underground 5.
Oh, that's going to be the worst quote ever.
We're treated to Tefnut telling us the origins of the universe.
Did you have to read that like 3 times? Like, it kept being like...
Twice. Twice. No, seriously, twice.
Yeah, I had to go back a couple times.
Demons, darkness, worshippers of light that backslide into foul rituals. Then it's a confusing mess of dead guys and monsters fighting demons.
I liked that the leader repented, and I liked they stayed very true to the Frankenstein ideal of the character they had created from the beginning. Like, I'm not human, and I'm not, and I am nothing, but I will do this, and I will save these, dead people.
Right?
Is he still in the underground realm at the end?
I think so.
So is this the end of Frankenstein? Is this the end of the horse-drawn Zeppelin?
Possibly.
It's a Goon Show reference.
Goon Show. I never watched that.
Well, it was on radio, so that would have been challenging.
I never
anybody.
listened to that. You giant doof. Oh, speaking of goofy... Did you know that the 40th anniversary Monty Python and the Holy Grail box set that they're coming out with not only includes a pop-out cardboard castle, but a catapult and fishy damosh.
You're totally getting this thing, aren't you?
Fuck no.
Come on, you love to rebuy DVDs and...
I despise doing that. I hate it. But, how often am I going to go flinging cows with a plastic catapult?
You know what? As soon as you find a plastic catapult, the first thing we're doing is buying cows.
No, it comes with the cows, too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you found one in another area, we're still going to buy cows to fling at people.
I'm not doing that. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's quickly pass through Skull Kickers 23.
Why quickly?
33. Because that's really all you can do. It's just fight.
It is hysterical, but yes, yeah. The versions of the Skull Kickers keep showing up. Most of them we've already seen, so it doesn't even have that comedic effect.
Right.
Although the chick version and the fish guys were a little amusing.
Those I did laugh at those.
I think we'd seen them on the other cover anyway.
Maybe. I don't remember. It's a damned awesome mess, is the best way to describe
The
it.
highlight of the issue is finding out that unicorns are as stupid as I've always assumed they are.
I've never understood why unicorns are so goddamned interesting anyway. No, because they never retain the same magical properties from storyteller to storyteller. You know, sometimes the horn is, you know, capable of regenerating life, and
Or
sometimes
sexy time.
or sometimes it's sexy time, and sometimes it's got healing properties, and sometimes it's got, you know, it shoots rainbows out of its ass, and something. Nothing ever stays consistent with a fucking unicorn, and that drives me nuts. I mean, at least with a Pegasi, they add
It's a horse that flies.
different powers to it, but its main thing is that the fucker flies.
Yeah, there's no. It doesn't really add a whole lot else. You know, sometimes it doesn't step on people as it's landing. Sometimes it does, but mostly it's a horse that flies.
Yeah. And the unicorn doesn't really do that. You know, sometimes the tears create
I've seen a
interdimensional portals.
horse fly. I've seen a dragon fly. I've even seen a house fly.
But
I've never seen an elephant fly.
Right. So that's Skull Kickers.
Well, the highlight
It's
is
so
definitely
much
the
fun.
unicorn.
It is.
The thing I have to give them credit, and the reason I'm going to miss this book is, yes, on a very base level, you're absolutely correct. It's 100% a giant fight scene. But during that whole fight scene, it never loses its light touch.
No, not at all.
And the different Rolfs, like the beer breaks, and when I think it was Biker Rolf or Zombie Killing Rolf discussing with the Cthulhu demon about how he made poor choices.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
That was pretty fucking funny.
You have to love that.
If you don't like that, you don't like comics.
Jim
you know?
Zub is a great writer. It's a lot of fun. I'm very curious what these guys are going to go on to do next, but you have to feel it's never going to be as good as this.
I hesitate to tell anyone they've peaked.
No, I
Yeah.
don't mean that as a condemnation of their talent. It's just my love of this. It's hard to imagine a scenario where they're going to top it.
I suppose.
It could be better written. It could be deeper. It's just never going to be as much fun as this.
Possibly. There's projects coming up may be so different that they're difficult to compare to begin with. But
Well, I mean, with like we read his Wayward, the first graphic, the half an anime,
yeah,
and it was fine.
it was okay.
But at no point was I thinking, "Well, this is totally worth getting rid of Skull Kickers for." And that may have even hurt it. Like, you dump Skull Kickers and you do this to me? I see cats on every page, bastard.
That's funny. Oh, God. Let's get into some Big Trouble in Little China. 12 and 13.
The end of one arc. Powell, Carpenter, and Chirilla.
Yep.
I can't believe I got that right. With a awesome little sequence in the middle of the Winter Wonderland of Hell, where Slinky and Jack catch up with Lopan.
Right?
Lopan frees the sword and the demon, who decides that Jack is more worthy because Lopan is an asshat.
Pretty much. That's exactly it, really.
And then Jack becomes the Lord of Hell, at which point 4 seconds later he's like, I'm not doing this. Slinky, here's the sword. I'm the fuck out of here.
And Slinky can dig that, you know? Because he himself is a demon, so it's all right. Resurrects Slinky, gives him a blade, which returns... yes. And that releases him from hell. However, apparently time passes differently here. Or maybe it's a copy of him. I don't know. Oh, no, that's right. It's his soul. His body has still been hanging around
Turtle
throughout
Guy
the 30
and
years.
The Sabertooth Demon Lord
Right.
have protected his body because he earned it. But he'll have to, his own soul will have to find its way out of hell.
And it did. In 2015.
Awkward.
A little bit.
I'm looking forward to continuing this book. I like Fred Van Lenthe. You are growing to like Fred Van Lenthe. But I feel like it's hard to imagine a period where we're ever going to have as much fun with this book as we did in the first book.
Yeah, we'll see, but I'm not holding my breath. In current days, Jack...
It is a promising start, though, in 13 before you go into
Yeah. It's I'm okay with it right now. Currently, Jack gets back into his body and he meets Miao Yin's daughter and Wang, now running a restaurant.
Wang has aged poorly.
very poorly. But apparently there's a series of books based on Jack and Wang having...
No, there's
based
only
on-
one. The rest is
I
the
thought it was-
reporter trying to recover her fame for that book by going into other scenarios.
I thought there was at least a sequel.
Yeah, no, she's writing sequels.
Oh, she's
That's
trying
why
to.
She
That's what it
disappears
is.
while trying to write Big Trouble in Little Odessa, and the Russian gangsters don't care.
Ah, that's right.
Of all the characters to bring back, Eddie was not on my list.
Now, Wang and Jack are having a little trouble reconciling because at some point, Wang sold this fucking Pork Chop Express.
Well, it seems like Wang and Miao Yin's daughter sold the truck, and Wang is having a hard time. But Wang seems to be having a hard time with everything. And it's really going to get painful saying the word Wang over and over again. I gotta be honest. I thought this was fun. I liked... Here's my give and take on this. I'm just going to cut you off here.
Sure, go ahead.
It's
Well,
very-
I'm done anyway.
It's
so.
a very Van Lente thing. Like, the team of 80s icons was amusing. But at the same time, it feels like everything Van Lente does, there's this need for weird conspiracy group things. Have you noticed that?
I've noticed it a couple of times, yeah.
I mean, you haven't read a lot of the stuff I've read by him for the reasons we've talked about, but like, there's always this constant group thing. But the Rambo ripoff, the Michael Jackson Prince ripoff, the Freddy Krueger, and the 80s robot.
It's so bad.
Sorry, Jason Krueger with a jetpack.
Jason Krueger.
They never give him a name, but he's wearing Jason's mask, but I'm giving him 280.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
See, it's a lot of fun. You read the second one. Does it live up?
It moves forward. That's what I'll say until we get to the next episode.
You're not feeling what you were hoping to.
Not yet.
Okay.
But
Well, I mean,
I wasn't convinced the first 3 issues.
No, by the second one, you really like. Once the monkey demon showed up, like
The Monkey Demons
expected,
sold me.
You expected to hate it in first issue.
I did.
So you were sold in the fact that you didn't by the first one. If you'll give me that. But yeah, it was by 2 and 3 that you really sort of like, okay, this shit is like, you liked it more than I did at first.
I was steadily amused.
Yep.
The amusement factor went up more and more every issue. Ugh. Can we please get Big Man Plans over?
Oh my God. You know what, kids, I'm going to make an apology, something I've never done on a podcast before. We're not going to talk in detail about this book. It is gross and horrible.
It is beyond gross. It all ends in this issue with horrible torture amid flashbacks of this girl he loves, but she's getting married, and
He's had a hard life, and what he does is not okay, even though he does it to assholes. Like, everything about this book is evil and disgusting and depraved.
And
It is a depraved book.
You know, if he had just shot people Punisher style, that would have been easier to take. But the mindless brutality
And the graphicness of being shown, like, Men of Wrath had nothing on this fucking thing.
yeah, that was grim and that was dark and that was unrelentingly bleak. But this throws gross on top of that.
Yeah, no, this is just awful. Again, though, Powell is exceptionally talented as an artist.
He is.
I don't like what
That's
he's
just not
drawing
the kind
here.
of stuff I want to see.
But he's so good at what he does. Like, it's ridiculous how pretty he can make something and how horrible he can make something at the same time.
Yeah, it's like Wrightson, really.
Yes, it really is. Like, if Wrightson and friggin' Shemp Howard had a baby.
I don't know where Shemp comes in, but
Well, because there's that weird lightness in everything.
yeah. Fine, that's foom.
Yeah.
Off to the
No,
side.
done.
Enough of that.
If there was a Big Man Plans 2, which there damn well had better not be, we will not
Not be
touching it.
buying that one. So, Baltimore, Cult of the Red King 3. We talked about this slightly before the episode. And you're right on. Not my favorite Baltimore. But then we said that about Witch of Harju as well. So I'm starting to wonder if we haven't reached the point of diminishing returns in this character.
Is it that, or is it simply that they're not doing the character so much as all the other characters?
Yeah,
Baltimore
that's
is
a
a
good
side
bet, too.
character in this.
A lot of it, yeah.
It's like watching a Doctor Who episode, which I hate, where he doesn't even show up, which I'd love, but everyone else would be like, where the hell is Doctor Who? I'm like, this is awesome. Bunch of sidekicks
The
getting knocked in.
Doctor.
Whatever. What the fuck ever. I didn't name the damn show. Deal with it.
The group in Carthage with March on details in Carthage. See, this is such a weird, fucking hard to follow book. In Carthage, Marchand details his vampire encounter, which is obviously what drew him to serve Baltimore. In St. Petersburg, the vampire Stanislav attacks, but he's beaten, of course, because it's fucking Baltimore. It's what he does, is beat fucking vampires.
Not witches, just vampires.
It's just vampires. He's a lot like Van Helsing in that. It's like, Van Helsing can beat any vampire. Well, so can Baltimore. They should team up.
Van Baltimore!
Ew. In Carthage, some bodies are found, and then the cult's temple is found. In St. Petersburg, the coven is aware they're being sought, and Zoya goads Henderson into attacking Baltimore. I don't understand what's going on in St. Petersburg.
The grouping, I don't think I think Hodge is a rival. Because he talks about how, at one point, how it's not going to be Baltimore that wins. It's going to be a man like him.
I missed that.
I'm wondering if there were two teams, like two separate teams. Because you've got the captain, the hammer guy, Hodge, and one other guy. And then, meanwhile, but you also see Baltimore get gutted like a fish by possessed townsfolk and witches. So it's very convoluted. But I really just need Lord Baltimore to come out and start slashing some people and win. Like, yeah, it's cool that he has sidekicks, but they came out of nowhere. Like, if he built them issue by issue, gathering people, a la, say, Saga,
Right?
okay. But just, hey, here's 12 fucking sidekicks that I didn't have last time.
Yeah, they jump around so much in his mythos that you're like, why am I looking at this
Right.
at this point?
If he had had teams of guys at different points, like Atomic Robo changes scientists all the time, fine, but they're always there. Here's a character that's had no support for 85% of his existence, and suddenly, here's a Witch of Kaiju, here's a group. Oh, next one, here's a bigger group.
Why?
It's like that damn Roberson Doc Savage, where every second there's suddenly 80 more people.
God.
And by the end, you're like...
I unfortunately remember that well. Why did you have to tell me about that?
It's just frustrating, you know? Like,
A little bit.
if you're going to have a defined group, A, define them, and B, how did they get there?
I would appreciate it if this was an ongoing, maybe.
True, but as series, it's even harder to just jump in and out with nothing. Like
Well,
this-
I mean, he'd have time to develop these things. I think he's skipping it because all these are just minis. He's got 5 issues to deal with everything.
And that's valid to a degree, but at the same time, you have to establish the fact that you're willing to have other people. That came out of nowhere.
Yep.
Like, if he'd had one person join him, he's like, you know what, this works. Maybe I'll bring more people into my quest. And then you start having more people in later issues, then fine. There's some logic to that.
That would make sense, yes. I'd be down with that. But I'm just trying to accept, okay, somewhere prior to Witch of Harju, he gathered up these guys because he knew he probably couldn't finally make the last push against Haggis or whatever by himself. Now, why he needs all these side adventures during that mission is another good question.
Well, maybe he defeated most of the vampires in the one previous to the Witch of Haiju.
Yeah.
But then you'd think after that he would need less help as opposed to more.
You'd have thought. But then, stuff like that also has to be brought up to begin with.
But then he's got this buddy, like he brought the witch who possessed the guy who's his assistant, who's helping kill him. It's like, why are you carrying her around if she's a fucking, like, everything about this just I'm feeling.
Wait,
this
Zoya
through
was left over from Witch of Harju?
before that. Wasn't that witch sidekick he had in one of the earlier ones?
I totally don't remember.
Yeah, again, another thing where it might benefit to go back and look.
Yeah. I'll have to get a Baltimore omnibus.
You have them all. You just got to sit down and read the fucking.
Yeah, but I'm missing issues on given ones, though.
I didn't
And it
think
turns
so.
out there's at least 3 series I'm missing.
Really?
Entirely.
I thought you
Like,
had
didn't know
everything.
existed.
I am totally confused now.
Yeah, a little
Damn
bit.
you, Baltimore!
Fine.
Worst city in America.
Go pee. Right. So, we're done with Baltimore for the moment because it's disappointing.
It's not, it's fine. It's just, you're used to a certain level of quality from Mignola, and Baltimore is jumping places that I just can't follow as easily.
Right.
It's like when we try to dive into the middle of Sledgehammer and like, what the hell?
That didn't work at all.
It's everything the guy does is so convoluted. You have to get every piece of it at
Yep.
this point. Like picking up a random BPRD is just torture.
I can't even figure out which trades start when. I looked at the wiki entries for those things like 3 times. I'm like, which one's it called? It starts when? Which issue of what?
Yep. No,
Because-
Plague of Frogs is like 15 graphics in and of itself. let
Yeah.
alone-
It's like, come on, fellas. But what's much simpler to deal with is Rebels 4.
Who would have thought a Revolutionary War comic book that has no interest in being anything other than a history of the Revolutionary War would be this good?
It's awesome. I love this book. This particular issue covers the battles of Breeds and Bunker Hills, which I'm sure you're familiar with
Yep.
because you lived up in Bostonius, or whatever the fuck it's called these days. See, that's an IT crowd reference.
Yep.
This little town I like to call Londinius. I'll cut that out. So anyway, it's all about the prep, the digging, the redoubts, and then finally the fight itself. Washington shows up with a mission. But although Seth is suited to it quite well, Washington disdains his station and refuses to put him in command of that mission. Ethan Allen, puts him to it anyway. So his team goes to recover the cannon from Fort Ticonderoga in New York. Seth rejects an opportunity to go home for a few days being dedicated to the mission, which I'm sure that Mercy will kick him in the crotch for later.
There's not a lot to talk about with this book. It's another Manifest Destiny. Like, well, they did everything well this time. Except there's not even that wackiness to kind of fill it out. It's straightforward historical fiction. It is done very well.
Right?
And you feel for Mercy even though she doesn't show up in this book.
Yeah, because, like you said, he deliberately refused to take time to go see her, even though he had the opportunity. So you know in the back of your mind that that's going to affect things later, because his missions are already affecting things. It's just going to compound it.
Well, this is something, oddly enough, that Commodore Life can relate to. When you let your work ethic get in front of your relationship, it's going to affect things sometimes.
Well, certainly.
And finding a correct balance for that, particularly in a time of war like that. Like, the thing is, Seth isn't making poor decisions. He's doing one right thing, but he's failing to do another right thing.
Yeah.
It's not like he's doing the wrong thing. The challenge is determining the best decision. And
Yeah.
depending on who you are, it's not the same answer.
Nope. Sure enough.
So there's, again, and of course that's not shocking considering it's Wood, but there's a depth to this kind of writing that's just so impressive.
It really is.
Now, I will say, like, the one, and this is a tiny little thing, but when you
Yeah.
have your characters interact with people like Washington and Arnold, you're always taking a certain risk of, how you'll portray them and whatnot. And they're barely characters in this, but of course, like, immediately disliking him because he doesn't talk. the amount that I know of Washington, nothing about that screams, oh, yeah, of course, he hates people that don't talk.
Well, the thing about that is, unless you read one of those monstrous 1,500-page biographies, what you know about Washington is that he was tall and he didn't take any shit, and he eventually decided, no, I think it should be a president and not a king, but I'll be president, sure. And
His Excellency, I have a signed copy of it in there.
uh,
Still haven't read it, though, so yeah, the point still holds.
But what, you know, he's from Virginia. You know, the cherry tree story is apocryphal at best, if not an outright lie. But aside from that, virtually no one knows anything about Washington. So having a scene where he disdains somebody like Seth, it's not that big of a stretch for most people, because they'll be like, well, I mean, he is a semi-aristocratic landowner.
And there's validity in that. I'll give you that. It's just, to me, and perhaps as me, I have to say that point actually makes me want to change my mind. So I have to give you credit. But
that stings, doesn't it?
a little bit. But valid is valid. Like, he's an aristocrat. I'm not thinking that way. I'm just assuming there's a whole lot of people in this army that don't talk a lot. Like, it's made up of New England farmers.
Yeah.
Like, not a chatty bunch. But you're right. Like, you have to bear in mind that they were aristocrats. It's often forgotten.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly valid. So that's
Yep.
a really good point. And I stand corrected.
And the other thing is, I mean, you just don't, they didn't document everything everybody did every single day. They wrote down the important shit.
Yep.
And him giving some orders to a bunch of jackasses to go get some cannon probably isn't the most critical decision he ever made.
Yep.
Maybe. I mean, considering the consequences of losing in Boston, could have been. But what he said about doing it and how he said it, that shit isn't kind of stuff that gets written down frequently. You know? Like, what did Hitler have for breakfast the day he died? Nobody fucking knows.
Eva Braun.
Oh. Ouch. And on that note, we'll go to Harrow County 3.
Probably not, but still an awesome line.
Ouch. Damn. Woo! So Emmy and Bernice, if you remember the characters, are still in the hidden graveyard in the woods.
That's going to be your best quote ever, by the way, when
It
you
is.
put that one up.
Surrounded by flaming spirits. But just seems susceptible to Emmy's influence, which is not the kind of flaming that we're talking about. I just threw that in there because it came out and I'm dumb.
Yes.
Bernice, of course, can't handle this.
Who could?
Very few people. They leave, and the skin boy alerts them to the search party that's been after them for an issue and a half.
And drives him off by using his throwing his voice.
Right. They're eventually, however, found by her father, who unfortunately does try to kill her because he is certain that she's the reincarnation of the original witch. And
Which seems pretty likely.
it is. It's totally like it's right on. It's foregone from our perspective. Emmy fights the desire to kill him, however, and asks Bernice to watch over him, setting off alone.
Well, she's got, Skin Boy.
Skin Boy is fine. Yes, she's got him in
Well,
the
he
pouch.
fucks up her father pretty damn good.
Fucks him right up.
No, Harrow County is so well put together. Once again, here in 3 issues, you've got a limited amount of characters, but you're already getting a really good feel for everybody.
Yep.
And you see the father torn with his decision. Like, he makes the wrong decision. I think we can all agree that you shouldn't choke your daughter to death.
Correct.
And then you see his daughter, who could go either way. To make a really weird analogy, it's the Sorting Hat moment. It's like, you would do well in Severus
Slytherin.
Slytherin, thank you. I'm actually very happy I couldn't remember that. But you'd also do quite well in Gryffindor. I still remember that one. But yeah, like, she has a character who could go either way. just like the witch could. The problem, of course, is that even when the witch chose the good side, she was still like feeding babies to demons and shit. So
Yeah, she wasn't entirely
Yeah.
good all the way.
good's a real relative term at that point.
All true. This is an interesting movie, but I'm not sure what the real point of it is.
You know, it's a magician versus a. Oh, we're watching
The Great Magician.
The Great Magician. It's a it's a magician versus a dictator, basically.
In early 20th century China,
Yeah, there's some cool aspects.
pre-World War One.
Though it's certainly better than Sharknado 2.
Certainly.
No, there's a lot of really cool things going on in Harrow County. Again, the cartoony style hurts at certain points.
It's bizarre how it swaps between the single dot eye routine with the incredibly simplistic line drawings, and then goes into the painted horror vision thing.
It nails
You
so
wanna
much
say it's-
so well.
Yeah, you want to say it's cartoony, but it's so atmospheric that cartoony really doesn't cover it. But it's not photorealistic either, so.
Yeah, it does a lot of stuff really well. And you know what my favorite thing about this issue was, other than her choice and her father's choice, which were very well done,
Yeah.
is when she's wrong about why the ghosts stop. Because it's not bad writing 101 where she's like, well, obviously I have power over these things. She's sitting there like, maybe they're nice. And Bernice's like, I really don't think so. I don't think that the giant pile of flaming ghosts around us are like cool with us.
Probably not.
So, but that naivete and that not knowing the plot in advance as a character
Right?
is a lot more challenging to write than people realize.
I would think so.
Like, think how many times you've played with fiction and how easy it is to let them kind of be aware of who they are before they should be.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's been a failing of mine.
No, that's not. I'm not saying.
No,
it,
it's true.
but I'm just saying it's like how many times have you read that where somebody like you have a mutant power and they're like, wait, I have the power to do this. Whereas in real life, if you suddenly did something that you didn't understand, you'd be like, well, that's weird.
I got to take some time to figure this out first, instead of just jumping into fully realized heroism.
Yeah. So it's really strong writing going on in this. The art is breathtaking. When he goes artistic, it's beyond awesome. And it's also like this. The unskinned boy jumping down was unpleasant.
Yes, right on.
It is a damn good book and well worth reading. I am very excited about Harrow County.
Even though I still don't know what the fuck a haint is.
Yeah, and they have that one page. This time, their one-page story at the end. Not as bizarre as the boy who got eaten by a lake, but the fact that they make dinners to feed demons, and they're like, hey, if we don't feed you, visit one of your friends and hang out.
Yeah, that one I did read. I don't like that.
No?
No, I don't like folklorish shit.
To me, it reminds me of something that both Mignola and Chadwick did in Concrete, which is like to have that kind of, this is the world that you're... So it brings it back home. Like, you remember the Corpse in the Iron Shoes, the really early Hellboy story?
Yeah.
Where they open up with the description of the monster in advance. And then Chadwick all the time would have little like paragraphs or pages like, this is the world around it. So what he's doing is just telling other spooky stories about the South, or this area of the South, to be fair.
Yeah.
That allows you to familiarize yourself with the fact that shit is a little fucked up around here.
But in text, it's more difficult for me to differentiate between...
Well, this wasn't text. This was another single-page cartoon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I was mistaking it for the other back matter. Yeah, folklore and fiction run very thin lines between each other.
It's true. I just like the fact that they're resolving the world in other ways. Like, hey, this is another thing we do. Because for all I know, the skinless boy is that drowned boy, and then who knows that monster might show up in 2 issues, or they could be totally separate factors.
I feel it's a pretty good bet that it's him, though.
Could be. I mean, there's no way to point either way. It's just another possibility.
Yeah, it's a gut thing, really. So, let's turn tail to an entirely different milieu with Invisible Republic 5. Now, eventually, Maya comes to the realization and/or admission that her employers are seditionists. Sesh. Yeah, I love that word. Roger Babb, is still investigating McBride's associates 42 years later. The beekeepers, this is back and forth. Like every other page is, here's this era, here's that era, and you really got to pay attention and shift mental gears rapidly to follow this book properly.
It can definitely slip you up.
The beekeepers note to Maya that they've discovered her association with McBride, which is troubling initially. That creates a bit of a rift between them, of course. Roger Babb, reveals some guilt-ribbon backstory that I didn't really care about. I mean, I don't need his life. I just need to know that he's future Ben Urich, really. I mean, come on, fellas. At a rally, O'Hund, whatever the fuck her name was, the escaped soldier, recognizes Maya, but doesn't really do anything about it. McBride makes a big speech, and the rally is attacked with riot gas. Now, Babb encounters the aged Maya. Okay, I suppose.
There's a couple of cool pieces. You have the beekeepers, one of whom reveals that what Maya's done is a lot bigger, and she's not being honest with them. So as much as they might want to apprentice her, it's going to be a lot more challenging than originally led to.
Right.
Then you have the realization that part of why they wanted to apprentice her is because the first one she met blew up the dumpster that almost hurt her.
Right.
So he feels guilty, but he also wants to apprentice her because she's really good at it. Like, he seems to be a legitimately nice character in this.
Right.
But Maya has no idea where that...
Aside from being half a terrorist.
A terrorist that blows up dumpsters trying not to hurt anybody is, slightly...
Half. That's why, I mean, he made efforts to make it a display.
And not a actual...
Right.
But still, it's a challenging piece. There's some cool aspects to that, and what I really like is at the end, yes, McBride versus the soldier, and like which way will she go, and she has to make that decision. I would almost prefer this book without Roger Babb and the diary piece.
Yeah, a little bit. Because I don't see how he, as a character, adds to any of it.
The failed reporter, the failed relationship, just all of it just stings of no. And then the end reveal that she's hunting her own diary and now he's met her just suspects me to believe they'll have to deal with that guy forever interviewing her.
Yeah, I can see at least 2 solid issues of them yapping for incessant periods.
The fact of the matter is they haven't resolved anything. McBride is not led to be a nice character. He seems to be more of a dictator and a douche.
Right.
But they haven't shown, he killed 2 soldiers that were trying to...
Press gang him.
Exactly. When he was already escaped, so he would have been busted. So his choice there was not ununderstandable.
Yeah, but how he then becomes a revolutionary and takes over the planet?
Well, him showing up is him being a revolutionary. That makes sense. If he's obviously smarter than a lot of people, so him coming to the lead of the revolutionaries, that makes sense. Why he goes to that point doesn't make sense yet.
Yeah.
He's still a captivating character, and I still like this book, but I don't love it as much as I was hoping to from its original. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
I mean, where are you on it?
I like it in the sense that it neither bores me nor irritates me. but it's not making me dance in the streets.
No, like with things like Descender out there coming out and so many other books, like this needs to find
A groove very soon.
I want to be excited by this book, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I like it, but and the other part is, wait, what issue is this? 5?
Yeah.
She has not really developed as a character at all.
Not much in the
Everyone
really
around
at all.
her has. And she's like still kind of a blank slate. I think you need to bring her out to really bring this book forward.
Right. That makes sense.
But perhaps her showing up as a old person,
She's going to reveal a lot of interesting things.
it makes sense.
And I hope they're actually interesting rather than simply, well, this fit this piece of the puzzle and blah, blah, blah. Now it makes sense, right? Wink, wink. Let's knock this bitch off and finish up with Lobster Johnson, Chain Forged in Life, one shot.
The Lobster Johnson Christmas special.
This is a great little one shot with the always awesome Lobster chasing down gangsters that have abducted a store Santa Claus. Although it wasn't clear why they took him.
He was a hostage to keep the lobster from
Just a
attacking
plain
him.
old hostage. Okay. He tracks them to a cabin and torches their car so they can't get away. They lock the cabin up tight, so he plays both cat and mouse and how do I get in routine at the same time.
This is basically a knockoff of the uber classic Night of the Hunter Batman, where he's Darwin Cook talks about it in that Ego book I made you read. Remember the short story he does based on that,
Oh, yeah.
where Batman is basically chasing a group of villains and taking them out one by one. They're hiding out in the cabin. So it's very classically Batman, except for the part where he gets shot to shit and
Yeah.
he's the lobster. Troy Nixie is the artist, and Nixie's a very strange artist.
I didn't find it that strange.
You didn't read Jenny Finn.
No, I didn't. But I thought it fit Lobster.
That's where a
just
lot
fine.
of people turned into fish, and everyone looks semi-creepy, which works with the gangsters, and I was a lot of fun. I always enjoy Lobster Johnson.
I think it's one of the few cosplays I really actually want to do.
Dude, you could totally nail Lobster. That would be awesome.
It's a great book. There's not much else to it. So, I think we'll end the episode.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to jump into the Mignolaverse, Lobster Johnson is the easiest character.
It's a really good place to start. There haven't been so many issues.
Most of them
about
are
it yet.
one-shots.
Most of them are one-shots. They're all very clear and fun.
Very few of them have anything to do with anything else.
Some of them are kind of loopy in that awesome what kind of way,
It's a pulp character.
which is much better than the unawesome what
Why is this happening to
kind
me?
of way, which is how we like to leave our listeners. So, Rev, if you would. Test the air. Get the direction. Taste the scent.
Bless you, fuckers!
And away. The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com. And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at TheMeanerGeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.